It was just starting. We had no idea we were pioneers and suffragettes, but in many ways we were.
It was 1968. I was quite active in politics in Arizona, anti-war politics principally, but also I really, really wanted to go down to the South and work in anti-segregation. I was at the University of Arizona, and there was a group that were going to go down, and I was going to go. And my father had a complete and total hissy fit over it. He said, if you want to change the world, go to law school. Don't just go down and get beaten up. That doesn't make anything better. And he talked me into it.
In many ways, an attorney is a hired gun. And so you don't just start out on your own trails, you wait for the client to come in. And then you pick up the gauntlet for them and devise the best arguments and the best kind of work that they're in need of that you can give them.
The early women lawyers, they were all different. These women lawyers were not just coming from families where their fathers were lawyers, or they weren't just coming from families that were affluent who could afford graduate school, but they came from all different places. Rebecca Gerlich was the daughter of Russian immigrants, and she came over to the United States when she was just a toddler, and her father was a junk man, according to the census. They had a little salvage yard right next to their house in Salt Lake City. Dorothy Merrill brothers, her husband was a lawyer and also a stockbroker, and they went into practice together. And they practiced in Salt Lake together, both as stockbrokers and lawyers for their entire careers. And there is the Dorothy Merrill Brothers Award that's given out by the Utah State Bar each year, is given to a woman who's contributed to the advancement of women in the legal profession in Utah. 3 of these early women decided to form their own law firm when they graduated from the University of Utah, and this was in 1932. And it was Mary Alice Meager, Virginia Sear, and Donna Sear. And they started practice in Salt Lake City. They only practiced for about a year, and this was a huge novelty. There is a picture of them that ran in newspapers across the country, and the caption says, 3 little girls from school start their own law firm, just because it was such a novelty that there would be an all-female law firm. The thing that I admire about the early women lawyers is their tenacity and their willingness to just keep pressing forward, because certainly those early inroads paved the way for people who would come later. If you go from 1872, when Phoebe Cousins and Cora Snow were admitted to the bar, and then you go even up until the 70s, there's very few women that are admitted to the bar in Utah. They're kind of double-digit numbers, although there are more women progressively as the years go on. And it's not until the 70s, actually, that the number of women going to law school and being admitted to the bar kind of exploded.
There were women who worked for the court or for the government, and a few in small firms, nobody in the big firms. Men ran things, and women took care of men. There were lots of women working in the firm, but they were all in subordinate positions. I was the only woman working as a lawyer in one of the established firms in the state, and that was in 1972. I went to a conference, and this woman came up and said, I've got to meet you. I understand you're the first in Utah. I was the first in Arizona. Come, I'll introduce you the first in Colorado. I mean, it happened in waves. I had no idea how many people were watching to see what happened. And if I had blown it, it would have pushed things back several years.
You have all the pleadings ready to go to court. You've got the discovery done, but if you've never been, you have no idea what it's like. A mentor would take you through step by step, or even better yet, invite you to go and sit at the table with them so that you can see how it looks. That is invaluable, to have someone who will reach down and show you the ropes. So it was important to form these strong connections with other women that were doing what you did. And we were just trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how our time would be spent in law or with our families or having children. We were kind of doing it as we went along.
I think that we went over the top. We got in and we were so determined to not fail that we beat up on ourselves. There's a lot to learn in how you juggle and how you put things together. And I think we're still learning that. We don't have it licked yet. We've got a long ways to go. But we've gone a long way. It's a lot better than it was. And that's a good thing.